Okay, so today we are actually coming to the British shores. For all those people that think that like absolutely zero stories happen in England and that everybody just drinks tea, let's let's go through this one because this took place in Torquay in Devon. Let me just tell the story. So, a Devonshire man in Hope's Nose, Torquay. Let's give him the name Jim. I always like Jim. So Jim is from Devon, which is in the West Country in England. He's specifically in Torquay, and the spot he's at is called Hope's Nose, right? So he's a photographer, so he's often out and about taking pictures of the scenery. And this one day, he's having a walk, and he happens to notice what looked like a rather strange man. And my dude out here feels that he saw an aquatic cryptid. So, in his words, he says, I was at Hope's Nose in Torquay, Devon, England. It was a very cold day, as per usual. There didn't seem to be anybody about, which meant I had the whole place to myself. I'd been visiting Hope's Nose quite a lot lately, as I really do enjoy the fresh sea air combined with the smell of the pine trees there. I can attest it. Devon's beautiful. I especially like the view from the cliff top that sort of looks out towards Thatcher Rock and the sea. So I often like to stand there and take photographs. And so I had just walked down from the grassy area to the cliff when all of a sudden the surrounding sounds around me faded away. It left the area completely silent, which was very strange, and already it made the place feel quite eerie. Confused, I looked around and suddenly spotted somebody standing down below over the rocks. They were eating what appeared to be a ripped open fish, and I thought to myself, that's a bit strange. Dude, you are too calm because my mind would be going all over the place. Right, there's really no way to safely get down there by those rocks, okay? So the only way that what I was seeing could have accessed that particular area was by boat. It was way too far, and it was just too treacherous to climb down there because, like, falling rocks, you know? That's what Jim thought. He went on to say that whoever it was seemingly noticed him standing, observing him from the edge of the cliff, and he just instantly looked up at him and then threw down the partly eaten fish, and he immediately, this is Jim, took a photograph of them, which is his mind. He literally must have like Reddit hive mind. Take photo. Why is everything never taken on a photograph? Why everyone taken with a potato? In 2025, nobody can capture something. I'm like, oh my God, these people. I immediately took a photograph with my Nikon P900 camera. Very specific. I could see that whoever it was, they were wearing some type of black garb. At first, I thought it was just a person. And then I saw its face. I swear to God, I almost lost my balance and I actually nearly fell over the edge of the cliff in complete shock. I had never seen anything quite like it before. It really was quite hideous. It was the most unholy looking creature that I have ever laid my eyes upon. It had wide set black eyes with no sign of a nose. The creature then made a strange gurgling sound and then hissed at me in a threatening manner, which in turn made me shout out some profanities toward it while raising my fist in complete anger. I mean, go Jim. With that, the creature ran towards the sea and dove into the icy cold water, where it then quickly swam away, disappearing down into the murky depths of the sea. I was completely shook. Okay, he didn't say shook, did he? I said shook. He was completely shocked and horrified and really thought that it was just somebody mucking around trying to scare the shit out of him. But he knew for sure that it was something strange and possibly otherworldly. There was absolutely no way anybody could swim within the cold water, especially at that time of year when the temperature had plummeted to such a low level. Alright, they would instantly get hypothermia and drown. So I really didn't know what to think. I had seemingly witnessed a real merman creature, and I was left standing there utterly astonished by what I saw. I thought to myself, this is utterly absurd. There must be a logical explanation. I continued to stand there for a little while longer, looking down upon the sea, wondering if the creature would resurface. But unfortunately it never did. At least I had successfully managed to capture the strange, air quotes, merman type creature within a photograph as proof. My life is very strange indeed. Who else gets to witness such peculiar things within their day-to-day life. I once thought things like this were complete fantasy, but having seemingly witnessed these bizarre cryptid creatures firsthand, I can safely say that they are totally real and definitely a reality within our generated world. The old tales from the distant past of strange mythological creatures appear to be completely true, which I find to be quite exciting. Scientists really should endeavour to study these weird, extraordinary events that have occurred over the years instead of trying to cover them up or ignore them. Just because something doesn't fit into their scientific narrative, it does not mean these strange things do not exist. This incident took place at 4:04 p.m. on the 8th of December 2021. And Lon Strickler, who actually is the owner of Phantoms and Monsters, actually says at the bottom, so Lon said that the witness, this Jim, is known to him, and his encounters in the past have been intriguing and quite forthright, so he does believe that he did capture a photograph of something quite extraordinary. So I guess he's vouching for his credibility. And there's the photograph. It's blurry, but like, that's a decent photograph. That's really interesting. So what I've gone and done is, because you know what, I'm trying to make, I've only really done mer aquatic things on this channel so far, but I'm really going to branch out a bit more. But I'm trying to make a codex of like beings of things that I see with my 3 eyes, I should say, and trying to kind of like, you know, make images of what witnesses see in certain stories, like try to get like a real life, basically like a police sketch, all right, so that we can sort of bring it to life, you know, because I think that's a really interesting, I mean, that's a good thing to do, all right, because then it's taking it out of the realms of fairy tale and fiction, and we're actually kind of like codexing something legitimate. So I know there's so many people and artists out there that do that. I'm not an artist. I do like to create art, like digital art though, still I do my best. So here I just did a quick rendition of what this might look like if it was a little bit clearer, just so that those people that kind of sometimes find it hard to see things, or they really like to see something a little bit solid, actually have something to look at. So I'll pop this in here. What's getting to me though, what do you guys make of this encounter? There are a few things that are running through my head, so I would love to know what you guys think. Now, I'm not saying anything as a solid as a fact or anything. I'm just giving you what comes to my mind as I'm listening to the story, what pings with me as I'm listening, any hits or something that I might be like thinking about. Like I just say it. I'm not saying it's fact though. So the first thing actually, if we're going to go by the looks, is the thing that it's wearing. Like, listen, this is just me. I'm I love the 80s. All I keep looking at is what it looks like a suit. All I keep thinking about is the dude from the Karate Kid. You know, the bad one that told Johnny to sweep the leg. I can't remember his name. John Kreese. You know, he always walked around with that sleeveless shirt. Like, that's literally all I can see. Sweep the leg. Sorry. But literally, like, what is that? Like, is it skin? Is it an outfit top? It looks like clothes. Like, I think I'm seeing guns, like the arms, you know, like I'm seeing it looks like a garment of sorts. Now, in my other video, I did a video about aquatics and the different nature of the potential nature of some aquatics, and I said that, you know, maybe we shouldn't take things so literally sometimes, and things could actually be a lot more nuanced than we think, a bit stranger. So for instance, I said that maybe sometimes when people encounter aquatics, it could potentially be that these aquatics are actually wearing what is akin to like a space suit or a scuba suit, meaning that they are maybe wearing something that is biologically like an organic. It could potentially be either a synthetic or an actual organic covering that lets them go to A through to B. So if the water is seen as a thoroughfare, like a way through, okay, like a portal of sorts. If there was like a sort of a vortex, they could be having to be in the water. They put something on that is like a scuba, that we would look at as like a covering in order to go into an environment that isn't naturally theirs, right? So scuba divers, they can't dive in with their clothes on. They have to dive in with special suits because the conditions are too harsh for humans to be in the water. So perhaps some of these things that we could be seeing, even biologically, it might not be the true appearance. It could be akin to wearing a suit of sorts. All right. So, I mean, there's that possibility. Second thing about its appearance is the fact that it has a really bulbous looking head, and it's giving me cephalopod vibes. What do you think? To me, it's giving me like an octopus's head. If you see the way that it looks like the bulges on either side, it's giving that kind of Pinky and the Brain, big head, left, right cranium thing. I imagine the head looks very bulbous in person, like at the top. You can almost see that, with the big dark eyes and this sort of like non-existent nose that's giving Voldemort. So it's also giving me, when I'm looking at it, I'm getting an impression of like gills, but also like serpentine. I'm getting serpentine images for some reason about this, like serpentine, like snakes. We do see serpents. I mean, I don't know what that is. And then it almost looks like it's got quite a wide jowl looking face and like a bit of a longer chin. What do you think? So a few other things that are quite interesting. So what I would have liked to know is just what the distance was between the guy where he was standing on the cliff and down there, because like in my mind, when he's saying I'm on the top of a cliff and then the being is all the way sort of down there, to me that indicates there's quite a far distance. So when he turned around and he said he nearly fell because he saw the face, I'm like, well, how close were you? Because I was imagining you're kind of far. But I don't know. That bit was a bit to me. But you tell me. To be fair, I don't know how far it might not be that short of a distance. Maybe I should actually check that out. But that first came to my mind. The second thing that I noticed, because it could be anything, like, okay, someone could go, well, maybe it was a seal. I mean, I doubt that, but or whatever. But what sticks out to me, and to me that makes this encounter a bit like, definitely a bit high strangeness, and there's definitely something weird going on there, is the fact he said it went silent. That he was walking, everything was da-da-da-da, and suddenly he noticed it went silent. That's like a dead ringer for like, two things is a dead ringer for. If you ever hear any other type of cryptid encounters, not even cryptids, not even necessarily cryptids, like if you are in a forest and it goes dead silent, it usually indicates that there is like an apex predator about. So it's kind of like all the animals, like they're on high alert because they're like, we might get it right now. Okay, so it's not strange to have nature go silent in certain instances. If you listen to like Dogman encounters, you would hear it a lot, and that probably is like, could be a mixture of two things, but apex predators can usually cause like quietness. But in this story, that doesn't seem to be what's going on. How he described it to me, what it sounds like is that he walked into, and I think he walked into or passed through a vortex of sorts into where that being was, as opposed to the being had crossed over into this reality through the thin veil. I think he did it. It was him that walked into a space that maybe he wasn't actually meant to be in. So I'm no scientist, right? So this might be not the best explanation, but why did things go silent when we have these sort of portal moments? So I think it could be like your brain is overwhelmed. So our brain get used to certain patterns, like we get used to hearing what we're hearing. And when we accidentally slip into something that's not normal, like a portal or a glitch, the senses get scrambled. It can cause adverse reactions or cause like weird things to happen. Also, potentially. Also, I had to look into this one because I was thinking, is this okay? But I'm thinking, like sound needs air to travel. It kind of moves like a ripple through air particles. So if you suddenly now step into a thin air pocket or somewhere where that changes in air pressure quite quickly, or just at all, or like a weird vibration or something, the sound I'm imagining it can just disappear because there isn't enough air to let the sound particles travel along. I mean, I could be wrong. Like when you go into a recording studio, the walls soak up the sound. So maybe something like that's going on. And a lot of paranormal encounters seem to happen where, the magnetic field or energy grid is quite strong, and it can mess with your body and our nervous system. So it might get that feeling of like, oh, this is a bit strange here. Oh, you might get that really dreaded feeling or something. So personally, on the basis of that, this is a true encounter, I feel he stepped into a vortex of sorts and he saw something. There's a little bit of a glitch in the matrix, perhaps. What do you think? So is giving me vibes of, like I said, what it looked like before. It's also giving me the impression when I'm looking at it, for instance, because he said that it was down by, and it dove into the water. For some reason, I'm feeling like it's not fully aquatic. It feels like a bit like hybridized, if that makes sense, because I'm just getting images in my mind of the movie The Descent and those sort of crawler-esque golem-like beings that were in the cave. Now, I do wonder, I think Devon and Cornwall, very old coastline, and they may be privy to actually having caves along the coastline. So I don't know why, but it feels to me like whatever this is would be, if living, it feels like it would be in a cave, and maybe in it, but it also can adapt to water. It can go in water, but it's like a bit of a cave like dweller. That's my impression. The first thing that was coming into my mind was I was seeing Gollum and the Descent creatures, but then it's like it has got like a cephalopod type head and the nose. But who knows? Who knows? If it is a dimensional slip, if it is a time slip of sorts, maybe, yeah, that this being isn't in our dimensional space. So maybe that it's not that they're all out there, but it's just another dimensional space. But that's what comes to my mind when I look at it. It reminds me of the I just keep seeing the Descent and Gollum, so that's making me think of a being that lives in caves and is adapted to both land and water. That's what comes into my head. That's what the imagery that's coming into my mind. Even the color of it's a bit silvery. It's almost kind of like, if that's a true color, it's almost like, if you didn't have much light, your skin might look like that. Or if you were a fish. I just find this a really interesting experience. Devon, and like I said, Devon and Torquay is very old. It's very well known. Cornwall is well known for the pirates and stuff like that. It's very old Celtic. There's a lot of lore going on there. Makes me want to find out if they've got any particular sea lore. If there's anything going on there, who knows? But like Lon said, this guy seems to be he's legit. And the picture's quite decent. So what do you think? I really get irritated. This is the thing, when I actually see people when they're like, oh, you would think in 2025 people would take photos, or, maybe it's not, or like, oh, why is it so blurry? And I'm just like, what? Because on the other hand, if a picture's too clear, then it's AI. And I feel sometimes that this is why people never see shit, or they don't get to experience more, because I feel like some people they're not willing to open their minds as to how it would be. Because in my experience, this dude was out here just having a walk. Would you really be thinking that you're going to see what looks like some sort of an aquatic cave dweller with octopus-sized head standing down there eating a fish? No, if you walk past, if that was me, I'd be looking and going, that's a bit strange. That looks a bit like that, but like, I don't know, that can't be what I'm seeing, because we don't let our minds run away with fantasy. So in all that time when you're thinking maybe that would be the time it's now looked up and it's swam off, and you're like, oh my God, then you suddenly come to and wish you took the things. People don't do those things in those moments, or if you're running scared. So I always, when people are like, well, if it was me, I would have taken a picture, I'd be like, bullshit, you would, I don't believe you. All right? If you weren't expecting it, why would you be doing it? This guy, lucky, he just, probably because he's a photographer, he might have just done it off the cuff, because he's used to capturing things, but regular people, probably not. And I think this is where people, they actually end up not being able to learn or to see anything, because in my opinion and in my experience, especially if you're dealing with beings that are not necessarily that are not in this third dimension, the laws of the physics don't apply, okay, in that sense. It might look, the fact that the photo's blurry, it could be because of the way that the light is bending. They could be phasing in. They could have a different electromagnetic field, that it actually looks very different on camera. What you're seeing is not what you took a picture of. There's all that kind of happens. And also, I've seen many times, sometimes you could see what people think is actual pareidolia, it's not. And no, I don't care if someone wants to fight me on that. Pareidolia is a thing. Not everything is pareidolia. And a lot of the times, what people think is pareidolia, it's not. Because that's just the way that's actually, sometimes these things phase in. But people aren't willing to look if it doesn't look good enough, so they miss out on potentially seeing something real. Anyway, what do you guys think? of that, let me know, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.